Hello, my name is Ruth and I'm Evie's granny. I'm 76 years old, but I'm 50 years old at heart. I'm here to talk about my life on Church Street, Horwich. The photograph is of Church Street, Horwich, where I lived all my life until I was married. Please note the horse and cart going up the road. You can see my first home from the photograph. You can see the old police station, which is no longer obviously a police station, and you can see the parish church where I spent all my life as a child. Right, Granny has admitted being quite a rebel in her day. We lived right opposite the pub. It's not called the Bull yet, but it was then. And so the gang of us, underage, sneaked into the Bull. But we had a bay window right facing the Bull. So my mum used to hide behind the curtains and watch. So I had to go right round the backs, cross the road and sneak into the Bull in the back entrance. And then somehow or other, I don't know how, I got out the same way. But of course, she always knew. Papa, my father, had been brought up round the backs of Church Street, so he'd lived there all his life. Nana, my mum, Nana, was brought up at the other end of Horwich. But as a child, my auntie moved into Church Street, and then another two aunties moved into Church Street. Nana, my mum, couldn't bear antiques, so Papa picked up the grandfather clock from somewhere or other. The grandfather clock is 1784, I think, very valuable now. And he brought it home in pieces on a wheelbarrow. And it was put in the lounge, and it's the best of furniture of all the family. These next photographs are photographs again of Church Street. You can see the chapel on the corner, which no longer exists. I think it's flats now or something. And the police station, which are now offices. Again, you can see the horse and carriage. And Papa used to tell me that there used to be one car a day up there, and that was the mill owner's car, and he and his friends used to run in front of it and throw their caps into the road so that the car would roll over the caps. You can actually see the gas lamp at the front of the photograph, and I can very well relate a man coming each night to light the lamps. This photograph is obviously Papa's christening. He's on his mother's knee, my grandma's knee, and I can see Auntie Polly, who I adored as a child. Auntie Polly had the sweet shop on Church Street, and we used to go up to their allotment, and she used to wear an old black pinny with great big pockets. And I used to sit and wait for her hands to go into the pockets, and she used to pull out handfuls of sweets for them. This photograph is of Papa at school. Please note that none of those boys are smiling. Separate from the girls, of course, not smiling. And as for the teacher, well, he's obviously had a very, very bad day. But they, I have to say, look very well behaved and actually very well dressed. Here is Papa's school book. 1908 means he was 4 years old. My goodness, what an example to us all now. Look, please, please look at that beautiful, beautiful letter formation. We are a disgrace. As an ex-primary school teacher, I am saying we are a disgrace now. It is just beautiful, because you will see was Horwich Parish Church School. This photograph is at the bottom of Church Street, the Bridge Hotel. Huge, actually. And note the very posh curtains, which surprised me. Next door was, the Conservative Club, still there. Next door was a chapel, but that's no longer there. This article comes out of the Old Ringing World magazine, and it is Papa's grandfather who taught Papa to ring, and he handed it down to Papa. Bell ringing was Papa's life. That was it. He did everything. He rang all the time. He wound the church clock up twice a week. He even came back off his holidays to wind it all up. He started swinging on the bells before he could walk. And Papa rang till he was 95 years old. He was so devoted that when the clocks changed time twice a year, as they do, go forward, go backwards, he would not change the fingers on the clock until midnight, because he said it would mix people up. They would get very confused, as if anybody in Horwich would actually be up and looking at the church clock at midnight. But never mind, that's what he did. This red, white and blue part of the bell rope is the very cushioned woolly part which you grasp as the bell rope is coming down. Its name, as I say, is Sally. When Papa died, our family donated a new set of Sallys in memory of him. Here you can see a very old photograph of the church. Note the iron railings, which I presume would be taken down in the war years. And it's where I spent most of my life. But going back to the bell ringing and the belfry, Papa took me up to the top of the church under his arm, 52 steps to the belfry and then 2 rope ladders when I was 1 month old. He held me over the top. I went to church twice on a Sunday, and Sunday school in the afternoon. Later on to youth club twice a week. We had to go to church on a Sunday before we were allowed to youth club. So of course we took bags of crisps and sweets, and I can't tell you anything about one of the sermons, but never mind, we did it and we went. Here you can see the interior of the church. You can see the old box pews, as they were called, beautiful pews. They were later replaced by modern pews, and the beautiful lectern removed and the pulpit replaced for a lower version. If you note on the photograph, you can see the font at the back of the church where it should be, entry into church as a baby. And it's where Evie was christened, and most of the family, I won't go through all the list, but most of the family were christened there. The gallery, the beautiful gallery that you can see, is not now used for services. Only on special occasions if the church was crowded, but there again you never get crowded churches these days, so I would say they're obsolete. You can see the beautiful organ at the back of the church. You can see the organ pipes. Now that's not used, too expensive to repair, so they have just a modern organ at the front of the church. Here you can see the Christening Shawl. Evie was christened in this, her sister was christened in this. I cannot actually tell you how many members of the family were christened in this beautiful shawl. Handmade, as you will see. This photograph is taken with Papa putting the flag up at some special Sunday or other at the top of the church. You can see the pinnacles actually, which was where I was displayed from as a baby, which I have already mentioned. The flag, actually, the flags were the size of our little lounge at home, and there was no money in church after the war. So Nana used to take the flags, and she used to patch them up with rags. You couldn't see the rags from down below because the flag was so high up, but those flags were patched. And this photograph was the first Rose Queen at Horwich Parish Church, and the photograph was taken down at the church school on the stage. I am that little one with flowers as big as my body. I'm not quite sure how I carried them, and I had to present them to the mayoress. On that stage, actually, when I was at the parish school, on that stage was our classroom. So our desks were actually on the stage. This photograph was taken by Papa from, again, we're up at the top of the church, we're up by the pinnacles. You can see 68 Church Street, where I spent all my years until I was probably about 22. And then we had a great big move from 68 Church Street up to 46, and we didn't have a removal van. We had the whole family, aunties, uncles, everybody, all our furniture was carried by hand from 68 to 46. The house that we left had a large cellar. It was originally used as a weaving room. We used to store our coal in it. These last three photographs are of the church procession. That was our Sermon Sunday in June. And oh my goodness, the procession was miles and miles and miles long. Hundreds of people joined that procession. In this first photograph, you can see me in my white dress. That was because we were the little singers who then sang at the front of the church for the 3 services that day. Now, you make note that we are all wearing beautiful white hair ribbons. I was so excited about those hair ribbons because we were little singers, the church gave us a new hair ribbon every year. Here we are again at the church procession. I've grown up a bit now and we're carrying the church banner. Note, we're still in white dresses, but now we're wearing white veils. But we were still in the little singers. I did it for years and years and years. Now, the very handsome boy, blonde, not the one in glasses, the other one, the very handsome boy was Maurice Holt. And I fancied him all my life, and I never got him. This final photograph is again of the church sermons, but I'm older still here, and I'm parading with the guides. I am the honoured one who's carrying the flag. We're actually in this photograph just approaching church, up Church Street, just approaching church, and you can see we're just passing the school, the school which we've just talked about. Last but not least, as a specimen of my life, we have my scarf from the grammar school. Very treasured. If you had passed for the grammar school, whoa, we wore that scarf with pride. It was actually, there is a darn in it which was darned by my mum. She wasn't the most wonderful sewer and stitcher, as you will see, so its darning isn't very wonderful, but it was darned by my mum. Now, I was at the grammar school from 1956 to 63, and we were still not a lot of money, and people had to darn things. Here you can see my pinafore, which which we never called pinafores, they were always pennies, right? So it's my penny, I still call my penny in the kitchen penny, it's penny. And you will notice it is as stiff as a board. Oh my goodness, I mustn't have been even able to bend down in it. And my little shoes are even stiffer. How I managed? Well, I don't think I did wear them, it doesn't look like it from the soles. And my lovely matching bag, that little bag was my greatest treasure, because I must have had it from when I was about, I don't know, 3 years old, and they were war years, and of course nobody had things like that, so I treasured that little bag. Real great treasures. This doll was one of my Christmas presents, but I do not know why she never had a name. I have no idea why I never christened her. Now everybody else got dolls. I was probably about 4 when I got her, and she just called walkie legs because she can't actually walk on those legs. But because she's got open mechanics in her body, everybody else had nice dolls that they could bath. Well, you couldn't bath walkie legs because of the open mechanism in her body. But I did love her. And her little dress was given to me by a friend whose daughter had a premature baby. So how small was that little baby? But it's very treasured. And walkie legs is still very treasured indeed. Although she has been renovated, her face has been professionally painted again, which I wish it hadn't really. And the thing that annoyed me most when I was little was she got shoes on that you couldn't take off, and it was one of those things that really annoyed me. They stuck to part of her body, stuck to her feet. As you will now realise, Church Street Horwich was never boring. I hope you've enjoyed my stories as much as I've enjoyed telling them.